All Things Doctor Who. I am Aaron.
And I'm Harry Williams Productions.
And today we are reviewing part 1 of Daleks Master Plan, which is episode 1 to 6. As we thought with this review, instead of reviewing all these 12 episodes, we can review more detail and review in halves. So
it's just to make it easier, because I think if we reviewed all the 12 parts, it'll be like a 15-minute long review, maybe?
Very long.
Yes.
So, all we need to know about this first episode, 6 episodes, is they were written by Terry Nation, and they were aired from the 13th of November 1965 to the 29th of January 1966 for the entire serial.
Yes.
So, it's a massive serial. Some facts about it, 12 parts long.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know, it actually features Nicholas Courtney, who of course is well known for his role as the Brigadier in the John Pertwee era, but he doesn't play the Brigadier, he actually plays a character called Brett Kingdom, and he sort of becomes a bit of a companion for the First Doctor throughout the story, well, short parts of it anyway.
Yes, and I have to say, that is just jumping into positives here, that's one of my favourite things about this story.
Yes.
But plot. Basically the plot for the first 6 episodes, what is it?
It's basically a sort of you got Marvick Chen, who is the guardian of the solar system, and he's basically trying to form an alliance with the Daleks, and I think as you're watching it, you're sort of realising that there's no way this guy is like, his goals and ambitions and objectives are completely unrealistic. It's like, you sort of know that whilst watching it. But you've also got the ambassadors of, what are they?
All these different planets.
Yes.
One's Mars. And yeah, there's basically all these different planets, and I have to say, if we're going to jump to positives right now, that's been one of the really creative things about this episode in general, is its creativity.
Yes. And of course we've already reviewed its prequel, which of course was Mission to the Unknown.
Yeah.
And it does feature a lot of those characters in that. So it is sort of important that you watch that first before you dive straight into the Daleks Master Plan. And so yeah, basically there's this thing called the Time Destructor, and in order for them to use the Time Destructor, they need a certain property material which is incredibly rare, and it's only really found on one planet, and that is called the uranium. And I'd noticed, like, every time William Hartnell said uranium, I think he would sometimes say terranium, because sometimes he couldn't really pronounce the words quite right. So,
of
yes.
course. But basically, it's the first 6 parts. I said we're going to talk about these ones are absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I mean the Daleks are probably it is without a doubt one of the best Dalek stories, and the Daleks are probably at their best.
Yes,
and
definitely.
They're doing what they do best, which is of course being really cunning and manipulating Marvick Chen, making him he's basically their puppet.
And that's why this story is interesting, because Marvick Chen's trying to manipulate them, so they're both basically manipulating each other.
Yes.
And it goes on for the entire story as he's trying to get all the competition out of the way, like for all the Guardians, as they're being killed off one by one, basically. So watching all this happen is quite interesting to see, actually.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to see how, because you're watching it from Marvick Chen's perspective, and then in a few episodes you're watching it from the Daleks' perspective. So it's really, I mean, it had to be, this long for a plot like this to be, the scale of the whole plot is just amazing. The way it was written, the way, the way even it was edited into like these different little plots. It's just a really a brilliant production, and of course only 3 episodes survive from.
Sad.
Yeah, I reckon if they were found, like every single one, which is probably not going to happen, but I reckon if they were all found, it would probably be the best Doctor Who story of all time. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
I can still quote that. I can still quote that.
It is. I mean, obviously, it's a bit inaccessible, because I mean, not many new fans will know of the soundtracks or the loose cannon recons.
The thing is, not many new fans were going to want to sit through 12 parts of this.
Yes, but especially since, the telly snaps, it's like the reconstruction, like it'll just take them out of it completely.
Well, I suppose if we're really going to get into this now, I have to say there's a lot of companions in this serial.
Yes.
So at the start we have Katerina, we have Stephen, we have Brett, and we have Sarah Kingdom.
Yes.
So 4 companions. It's obviously this the first 3 episodes of this has one of the most remembered moments in Doctor Who and saddest deaths in my opinion. That's Katerina. Now,
obviously, we're not going to prefix like spoilers because obviously the story's been around for pretty much over 50 years, and you should have watched them anyway. But obviously,
exactly.
I know there are a lot of people that haven't listened to it, but the point is, we were talking about it, like the dynamic between Katerina and the Doctor. It's a really,
I love that.
It's a great dynamic, and it's really sweet as well.
Because she originally came from the Mythmakers, and the only reason she didn't make it through the episodes of this was because they thought they didn't know how to write her.
Yeah,
she just did. She was a great companion, but she didn't work in the story. That was happening.
And I feel like they could have developed her a little bit more, but her death, like, it really pulls on your heartstrings.
It does,
and it's just really, it's like almost as emotional as Adric and. Trying to think who else dies. There's not many deaths. No,
not many at all.
No, in the classic series anyway.
So yeah, very emotional, and you really think about it. And when you hear William Hartnell say his lines, because you obviously can't see it, you can tell it's fantastic emotion. It really is.
She was a great character, and it's a shame that she wasn't really.
Yeah.
She developed to her full potential, really.
So another companion death, Brett.
Yes.
Now Brett was another tragic one, just for a fact of. He was killed by his own sister, Sarah Kingdom.
Yeah, we didn't find that out until a few episodes on in the story. We just assumed that they worked together.
Yeah.
But it turns out they were actually brother and sister. And I thought that was quite a nice plot twist because it adds to her character, makes her a bit more three-dimensional. And all the characters in this, they're really good and interesting. Like,
they are.
Even the ambassadors to an extent.
I'd say one thing about ambassadors, they're definitely interesting for the way they look. So the practical effects with telesnaps, you see them. They're interesting. They stand out. Kind of very 60s Who-esque. But you look at it and you think, I like that design.
Yeah, and plus they are believable as well. Like, you can imagine these guys being ambassadors of all these different planets because of their aesthetic look and the way they talk and the way they move. Just really great designs, even if it does look a bit ridiculous, some of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, ridiculous in a good way.
Yeah. So another thing we need to talk about. So the subplots in this. Now obviously we've got a massive 12-part story now. This element of the video is going to be really about majority of the episode itself.
Yeah, just the basic sort of general synopsis, because obviously there are a lot of different plots going on within the story, because obviously it's 12 parts long. They have to but I think one of the problems with it is that it can lead to padding.
Yeah, a lot of padding.
Yes.
But we're going to get into that in the second part of it.
We can talk about sort of the bad bits of it.
Oh yeah, second part.
In the latter review, basically.
But apart from that, the subplots of this bit are really good. The support we've got like the Savage Land, which generally leads to Katerina's death. It works. It wasn't amazing, but it works.
Yes, and it did sometimes feel a little bit out of place because it's sort of like Gallifrey and the Outsiders.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but because obviously got the Daleks, which are like the intelligent beings. Then you've got sort of like the Primitives. It's basically like the Invasion of Time kind of. You got all the high intelligent people in the city, and then you've got the Outsiders, and you've got that little subplot going on there. So there's similarities, but you've also got like a bit of a chase going on for trying to get the Doctor to give them the uranium, which is a crucial part of their master plan.
Yeah, and that's probably a great thing about this, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the footage was still there, it'd be fantastic.
Yes.
But it's just the chemistry, the urgency that the episode makes you feel.
Yes.
It's fantastic, and you know the Daleks would generally kill them if they got their hands on them or suckers on them.
And there's so much at stake for the characters that are involved. It's like Daleks are under pressure. Mavic Chen especially is under pressure because he's trying to basically work for them. And then, of course, you've got the Doctor trying to run away through time with the uranium so that he makes sure that he never gets them.
Yeah, exactly. So, apart from that, I have to say, we've really cleared everything for the first 6 parts.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, it is pretty simple. Like if you look at the first part, because the first half is probably the best thing. It
Yeah.
really, the pacing of it is fantastic. I think.
It really is brilliant. First 6 parts, absolutely brilliant TV.
Yes.
One of the best Doctor stories of all time. So I'd probably give it, if I was going to give it anything, 8.5, 9 out of 10. What would you give it?
I completely agree. I mean, I wouldn't give it 10 because there are a couple of problems with
Yeah.
it, like padding, but it's just one of those masterpiece Doctor Who stories that are still looked up to this day as being one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. And I think if it was found, it would be the best ever.
It would.
Because obviously we've got 3 episodes surviving. Episode 2,
I think
5 and 10.
we're going to be grateful for these 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Because what we see about it, we can see a lot about. We can
Yes.
see a lot. But the mistake we made watching this, we
Yes.
have 2 versions of the CD. We have obviously the recon version here,
Yeah.
and we have a Lost in Time set. So watching that, this set actually didn't have the footage for the second episode that was found.
Yes, and
But
it's
it
one of my
had
favourite
on-
episodes from.
But it had it on the Lost in
story.
Time set, so we forgot that and realised we just watched a recon version of a found episode.
Yeah, and it was like, oh god, we watched it thinking, I remember these scenes moving,
Yeah,
and then when we finished it, we realised,
they moved.
yes, and we could have watched the actual surviving episode.
So you know what? That's a funny story in its
Yeah.
own way. But for the 6th part, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who masterpiece. Now we're gonna move on to the other parts when we get the chance next. So that is going to be fun to talk about because honestly, we're not massive on them parts.
No, it's nowhere. They are good, but they're nowhere near as good as
No,
the Termination half.
not at all. Because they were notes by him. But let's get onto that when we actually review
yes,
it.
we'll talk about that in the next review.
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, guys. We really hope you enjoyed this part 1 to episode 1 to 6 of Daleks Master Plan. Now, we have many more views coming off me and Harry, so this should be fun. So, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later.
See you soon.
See ya.